What's going on? It's BF and Kruma, and this is the Nkrumah perspective. I don't know why I keep fumbling. Just saying BF and Kruma and the Nkrumah perspective. I have no idea why I keep messing that up or fumbling my words. But again, I'm BF and Kruma. This is the Nkrumah perspective. Today I'm going to talk about a video that I watched that to me was very sad, was very saddening, but also it was very inspiring to see it put on Front Street for a lot of people to get a deep dive or to get a look inside the life of some Black men, and in particular men who are in the public eye. And the interview that I'm talking about is Michael Beasley's interview on The Pivot. Man, my brother had a very rough life. As a lot of us, in particular, those of us who grew up in the inner city, not to diminish the plights of those who grew up in the suburbs and things of that nature. It's just different types of struggles that we had to deal with. My brother grew up really rough, and he put it all on display in this interview and talked about everything, opened up, and even some things I don't even think he recognized that he showed us, because he was just being basically, and I don't want to feel like I'm saying anything negative. Don't take this as anything negative, but he showed his hurt self, just that he is a hurt man. Now, Michael Beasley is 33 years old. Again, this is not to belittle him. This is not to say anything negative about him, but he's 33 years old. But he's really psychologically frozen in his preteen to his teenage years. Again, that's not saying anything negative. That's what trauma does to you. Unprocessed trauma, unhealed trauma, freezes you psychologically at whatever age the trauma happened. If you don't process it right, if you don't learn different coping mechanisms or coping strategies, if you don't talk to anybody, if you don't have different outlets mentally, not just escaping outlets. A lot of times our outlets are to just get away from the trauma as opposed to dealing with the trauma. And when you just escape the trauma and don't deal with the trauma, you stay psychologically frozen. So that's one of the main things I saw with him. I saw, even though I see physically a 6'10", 33-year-old man, I saw the hurt child. And one of the things I always talk about is the reason why I do so much things for young Black men is because I'm always constantly trying to save my 10-year-old self. I know the 10-year-old in me is hurt. The 10-year-old in me is struggling. The 10-year-old in me is in pain, and I'm always working to heal that 10-year-old in me. And one of the ways I do that is by making sure I'm helping other people. But I recognize if I don't recognize the 10-year-old pain that's in me, if I don't recognize that trauma, I can't fix it, and then I'm stuck living with it. And then all of my responses to life, my perspective, my ideologies, all of these different things are through the lens of a traumatized 10-year-old. So, brothers, we got to deal with the trauma. First things first, brothers. This is what we're going to get a lot from this video. But the first thing I want you to understand is you have brothers who care. There are men in your life that care. There are men who are not close to you in your life that care. There are other Black men that care. Not only did we see Michael Beasley be vulnerable, not only did we see Michael Beasley express his sadness and his hurt, we watched the host of the show, Ryan, Fred, and Channing. We watched them empathize with Mike. Hold up, bro, you doing what? Nah, bro. I need you to come over to my house some days. Bro, listen, bring your kids on over with my kids, and we're going to get a bouncy house, and we're going to sit, we can talk. Ryan Clark, like, listen, man, I'll be whatever you need, right? You got men out there. That's the first thing I want you to understand. You are not alone. You are not by yourself. You are not on an island. You are not stuck somewhere where you cannot get help. Before we get into anything else, brothers, that's the first thing I want you to understand. You ain't got to do this thing alone. You ain't got to fight alone. You ain't got to fight all by yourself. You ain't got to handle it on your lonesome. You ain't got to figure it out all. No, you got some men around you and some women too. But right now, we just talking specifically about other brothers. You got some men in or around your life that care. I care. I care. We all loved Tupac's line talking about the women when he said Tupac cares even if don't nobody else care. Yeah, well, I care even if don't nobody else care. But I know other people care. I know other brothers care. Those men on that show were not Michael Beasley's friends. They didn't grow up with him. They didn't hang out with him. But when they saw another black man dealing with some of the things that they dealt with, they were making themselves available for him. So the first thing I want you to recognize before we get to just talking about all of the things that we deal with is you have men in your life that care, in or around your life that care. So I want to just dig into the interview. We'll talk about, Michael Beasley is going to be the point of departure, but he's not going to be what it's all about. This is about all of us as black men dealing with racism, white inferiority all across the diaspora, because we all dealing with the same enemy, whether we are in America or South America, or if we're on the continent of Africa, or we're in Europe or Australia. We're all dealing with the same common enemy. They might go by different governmental names, but they're all of the same structure. So we are all dealing with the same things. We are all dealing with the same results of this racism and white inferiority. If you aren't familiar with somebody saying white inferiority, it's because they aren't superior. So ain't no white supremacy. It's white inferiority. So one of the first things that he talked about was how ever since he was 4, he learned that people wanted him to play basketball because he was tall. Are you tall? Are you big? You're going to be a ball player. And that was something that stuck with him. Like, obviously, he's 33 years old, still thinking about something that happened when he was 4. And what we have to recognize is, it's what I need put out to the world. Let's frame this right. What I need to put out to the world is black men are tired of our gifts being exploited. We're tired of everybody just looking at us for what we can do for them. Now, oftentimes, if you talk about one sex, somehow it gets flipped, like you are trying to diminish the plight of the other sex, and we start the whataboutisms. BF and Kruma is not about that. I am not about division in the black community. I am not about pitting black men and black women against each other. I am about healing and bringing us together. That way we can live our lives autonomously without the input of anybody who is not black, without the influence of anybody who is not black. So I am not in any way ever trying to sow a discord or keep a civil war going on within the black community amongst black men and black women. That will never be my platform. So this is not to diminish anything black women go through, and nothing today will be to diminish what black women go through. I just want to focus on what black men are dealing with. Just want to focus on what black men are dealing with. And we are tired of being exploited for our gifts. We are tired of being exploited with expectation, without appreciation. I'm an old-fashioned brother. I believe in gender roles. I believe in all of the old-fashioned stuff, but without appreciation. If you just look at me and say, well, you're a man, you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and there's no appreciation, you're just exploiting me. We get exploited from outside of our culture. We got white men controlling our music, controlling our movies, controlling our identities, controlling our bank accounts because they control most of the jobs. And then we have the same issues within our community. Not again, this is not about saying anything negative about Black women, but we do face negative things at the hands of our women. And once you just put an expectation on us without an appreciation, it's tiring. It's tiring. And Black men are tired of hearing about what, quote unquote, we're not doing when we're doing so much stuff that gets overlooked. Black men are tired of the expectations that are placed on us, even if they are rightfully so. If you put this expectation on, and I'm living up to the expectation 90% of the time, but then the 10% of the time, if somehow I miss something, all of a sudden, I'm the most vile creature on earth. And this is what happens to us. And nobody sits back and thinks about what's going on with the Black man. Black women scream, Black men need to protect Black women. And guess what? Wholeheartedly agree with you. Wholeheartedly agree with you that Black men need to protect Black women. That is one of our duties. But sisters, I want you to think about this. Think about how it feels, right? Because you screaming, y'all need to protect us. Think about how it feels to be the one where there is nobody ever supposed to protect you. As the man, there's nobody to come protect us. We got to protect ourselves, and we have to protect you. And we have to protect the children. Again, this is our duty. I'm willing to stand up for it. Any women that know me will tell you, I put my life on the line for Black women. But when you just expect it and you don't appreciate it, and it just becomes a task that you want to watch me do or that you need me to do, and you don't really care about how any of this makes me feel, you don't think about, wow, what is the pressure that's on a human being when they're trained from a child that they're supposed to protect and provide for another adult. To all adult women who have children, you know, and this is not to try to compare women to children. Oh man, I hate that I'm not prefacing that no more. Y'all take it wrong, y'all take it wrong. You know what the struggle is when you're trying to take care of children or being a single mom, right? Being a man is like being a double single mom when you are actually operating in your manhood. It's like being a double single mom because you got to take care of the adult woman and you got to take care of the child. You got to protect the adult woman and you got to protect the child. You got to be there for the adult woman and you got to be there for the child. Being a stand-up Black man inside a structure of any kind of family, you are like a double single mom. And we always hear about how hard it is to be a single mom, and I'm not diminishing how hard it is, but I'm telling you this. Think about you having to be the adult who is expected to take care of the other adult and the child. And when nobody cares about how that makes us feel, we just get exploited, and we're tired. We're tired of being exploited. Mike talked about how just because he played basketball, everybody, they wanted him here, wanted him there, they wanted him at this school, wanted him at this school. And don't forget me when you make it to the NBA, folks was already counting his money. Not just counting how much money he was going to make, but looking at it like, well, I need to get some of that money and put it in my pocket. Don't forget me. Make sure you put some money in my pocket. You ain't doing nothing for me. You want to exploit me for my gift. Oh, man. Woo. So he's playing basketball. Obviously, everybody is exploiting his gift. And he says, man, I learned at a young age that people only care if you're good at basketball. And this is something that we really got to get rid of in our community. Sports does not equal manhood or maleness. Sports does not equal manhood or maleness. Yes, we want our men to be our young men to grow into be masculine men. Yes, we want our boys to grow in to being warriors for the race. Yes, we want our young boys to grow up to be able to defend themselves, defend their wives, their family, their community, and their people at large. But sports does not equal maleness or manhood. And there's so much that we need within our community. But when you are a young boy, it's like, do we play basketball? Do we play football? And it's really only those two. But sometimes you can sneak into baseball. But do you play sports? Do you play basketball? Just because you're a male, you got to do these two things. We need scientists. We need physicists. We need chemists. We need meteorologists. We need black folk, black men all the way around the spectrum to be able to operate in every area of human activity that we partake in. That way we don't need somebody on the outside. But the first thing we want to do is put a ball in a young man's hands, a little boy's hands. First thing, he in the crib and we got a basketball in there. My future ball player. Oh, my son, he was born. He was 19 inches. Oh, man, he's gonna be tall. I know he's gonna be. I'm gonna put a ball in his hand as soon as he can walk. What about a book? What about a telescope? What about a science kit? So then we have so many men who grow up, right? And we've never even experienced the thought of different opportunities. Never experienced an idea that, I could be a physicist. I gotta make that a task of mine because I don't know a physicist. I'm gonna find me. If y'all know a physicist, man, send a black male physicist my way. I just want to meet him and have a black male physicist as a friend because I always talk about. Knowing you're a physicist. I mean, knowing you could be a physicist, but I don't know nobody who's actually a physicist. So where we at? Boom. So people will seek to exploit you for how they can benefit you, but never ask you what you love. People will seek to exploit you for how they can benefit you, but never ask you what you love. When I watched the interview, it would appear on a surface level that Michael Beasley loves basketball. I don't think Michael Beasley just inherently loved basketball. He was forced into basketball. He was good at basketball. He was exploited at basketball, and he was pushed into a league where he can make a bunch of money. So, hey, why not? But did anybody ever ask Mike who he really wanted to be, what he really wanted to be? Does anybody ever ask us what we truly love? So we find ourselves in these different places and different spaces. And yeah, we tired of the spaces that we're in because these spaces don't have anything to do with what we love. Don't have anything to do with our purpose. So one of the first things I teach to people, the brothers that I coach, second class, is defining yourself. Defining yourself. And you are not allowed to define yourself by a career. You're not allowed to define yourself by a job. You're not allowed to define yourself by what you do. You have to define yourself by an inherent quality in you. Who you are, the through line of who you are, and not what you do, but how and why you do the things that you do. How and why you do the things that you do. Someone in the comments said other groups of men don't think like this. I'm sorry. I really don't care. I don't care about what other men, how other men think. Other men are in our shoes. Other men are in our shoes. There's no man on the face of the earth who's in the shoes of a black man. Not a single man on this earth is in the shoes that the black man is in. So I don't care what their thought process is. They're not dealing with what we're dealing with. They don't go through what we go through. They didn't go through what we went through. Every other people on earth, if they went through some kind of slavery, they got reparations. Shoot, America giving Jews so-called Jews reparations, and we didn't even. And America didn't even have them in the Holocaust. Didn't even have them in the concentration camps. But America still gave them money. America still gave them a country. Still provides money, resources, guns to them to protect Israel. Still helping Israel bomb Palestine. So don't bring up other people. Don't bring up other men. Don't bring up other men. In fact, it's real problematic when you don't want to just hear black men out. Oh, other men don't think like that. Listen, ain't nobody asked you to talk about what other men think about. Why can't you just hear us? We can never just be heard. In the midst of hearing us talk about what we're dealing with, what we go through, what hurts us, somebody always has to have a response to how we feel. No. So back to what I was saying. You got to define yourself. You got to know who you are, because people will seek to exploit you for how they can benefit you and never ask you, do you even really like this? Somebody can see, because we all got different talents. And somebody can see this talent and say, ooh, I can manage that. Or they can sing a little bit. Yo, what, you want to be in the group? I'm going to manage y'all. Are they really trying to manage it because they love them kids? No, they see a paycheck. But is it something that you love more? We can't allow people to continue to exploit us. We got to do that inner work. We got to do that inner work to recognize who we truly are. I call it, your I am. You got to identify what your I am and then flow through your I am. Know how you're supposed to flow. See, I know my I am. I know how I'm supposed to flow. At this point in my life, you can't drag me to do anything outside of me unless I just want to do it. Earlier in my life, or earlier in my community work, I just did everything everybody asked me to do because I was for the community. We need you here. We need you there. We need you there. I had to learn, hold on, exactly who am I and what's my flow? What do I need, or how do I need to flow where I feel fulfilled? Because I don't care what you say. This ain't about everybody else. Yes, I could be a community activist and want to help the people. Yes, I could be a revolutionary and want to help us become autonomous. But that don't mean I got to flow the way everybody else want me to flow. That don't mean I got to do everything for free either. That don't mean I got to come to this event and that event, and oh, we need you to do this, and oh, we need you on this board. And I was so tired, so stretched thin. I was on every board. I was at every meeting. You know how many brothers are just tired because they just stretched thin? Haven't learned how they supposed to flow to feel fulfilled. Haven't learned how to just be. That way their existence is walking in their purpose and they don't have to feel burnt out. We feel burnt out because we're operating in things that don't fulfill us. Things that don't fulfill us. Now, brothers, hear me loud and clear. Hear me loud and clear, brothers. Therapy is necessary. Therapy is necessary. Brothers, we got to deal with this past. folk go to war, 18-month deployment, lose some friends over in the war, they get forced to kill some people, watch some folks die, come back 18 months. PTSD. Everybody recognizes this PTSD. They can get help for this PTSD. And I'm not trying to diminish their pain or their plight. We're talking about an 18-month deployment. I'm talking about years of having to deal with this. Years. I just saw something where 22 kids were killed in one high school in 2 school years. 22. Imagine you in 9th grade, by the time you were in 11th grade, 22 of your classmates were killed. We got to heal from that trauma. We got to heal from that trauma because that trauma will mess you all up. Fred asked Mike, when did you know you were good at basketball? And Mike said, man, I mean, everybody else noticed before me. So Fred like, oh no, man, I'm not, I can't take that, man. You had to have the confidence, you had to know you was good. He like, man, no, they saw it before me. Why? See, sometimes we can't see our gifts through the trauma. He was in the middle of talking about how he was getting kicked out of homes, how they was getting evicted, how he come home from school and all of their stuff is on the curb. He said, my mom never played about us doing our homework. We came home, we outside on the couch on the curb doing our homework. Kicked out of our house on the curb, sitting on the couch that's on the curb doing our homework. How am I supposed to see my gifts through that? How am I supposed to see my talents through that? How am I supposed to see a bigger future for myself through that? Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying therapy is necessary. We got to work through, we have to process, and we have to deal with those things in order for us to become the best versions of ourselves. Therapy is necessary. Now, another thing Mike continually talked about was the narrative around him. Now, in sports, boy, they create some narratives. They will create a total. It's like the Allen Iverson. We talking about practice thing. It's like he was juxtaposing practice with going to bury a friend or something like that, or being with somebody at their deathbed. He like, man, but we talking about practice, and they just took that to say he don't practice. We just ran with that part. We know the whole context because we watched. When I say we, I'm talking about the media. We knew the context of what he was saying, but we intentionally chose not to show what he was juxtaposing. We just want to keep showing you. We talking about practice? Imagine if somebody that you love died and somebody's talking to you about practice. Well, of course you're going to respond like that. We talking about practice? Talking about my loved one dying. And you want to talk to me about practice? And then they just take and chop and cut the clip the way they want it and create the narrative. So Mike was feeling like everybody had these ideas about him, which was true. I didn't know a whole lot about him, but I heard a lot of the stuff. But he said something that was really profound to me. He said, when I get around you, and you, I'm 3 different people. Well, 4, because I'm already here. When I get around you, and you, I'm 3 different people. Well, 4 because I'm already here. What he's saying, when I get around y'all, it's 4 different narratives about me, 3 different narratives about me. 4 is the truth. Me is who I really am. But when I get here, you think something about me. You think something about me. You think something about me. And ESPN has told all of these stories. How many stories have been told about Black men? I keep seeing all of these, and I'm getting tagged in all kinds of mean videos and stuff like that. People sending them to my DM. Somebody just sent me one with this gay guy talking about straight black men. All y'all got is audacity. And then I'm saying all of these black women that's falling right for the BS. Falling for every negative stereotype. I started doing community work in 2007. I can't tell you how much stuff that I've done. Myself, Pastor Carl Day, my brother Jamel, Kendall, Paul Frost, Terrence. No, that's not Collins. What's his last name? I forget what his last name is. So many black men I've worked with. My brother B. McFly doing so much stuff in Philly. Carl Tone Jones, my brother Shamari, brother Oba, my brother Akil Parker, my brother Rob Parker, who's now a principal. Shout out to my bro Rob, man, doing great things in the schools. My elder Atiba Kwesi, Achille and Kruma. I mean, the list just goes on and on. All of these black men that I've been around, that I've been under, that's been in the community, Pastor Damon B. Jones, Sr., all in the community. All these years, I've orchestrated or been a part of or watched from the sidelines. I ain't see the cameras. I didn't see the cameras. I didn't see the news articles. I didn't see nobody taking what we've done and then make that a narrative. Wow, black men are doing X, Y, and Z. I think I got one write-up in the paper when we boycotted the NFL with Cap, and we used Sundays as a means to be in the community with the kids at the park. So I got a daily news. We got a daily news write-up for that. That's one time, but that didn't create a narrative. The narrative is, shoot, all black men watch football. I still don't watch football like that. I don't really watch sports, period. But wait, I don't see the cameras. I don't see the news articles. I don't see the what do they call the spots on the news stations. What is it called? Segments. I don't see the segments on the news about any of the positive things that black men are doing. I don't see none of that, but the negative stories are everywhere to the point where even black people will believe them. Never forget a good friend of mine. I was talking to her one day, and she worked overnight. So she left for work around midnight. And we talking, and she just comes out and tells me, yeah, she lived like 3 blocks from the train. And she was like, yeah, when I come out of my house, I run to the train. I said, why do you run to the train? She says, I see what's happening on the news. She's happening on the news. I said, how long you been doing this? She said, I've been doing this like 4 or 5 years. I said, in them 4 or 5 years, had the random black men in your community ever tried to stop you, harm you, rape you, kill you? No. So in your experience, you have a 0% chance of the random black man harming you. Well, if you put it like that, but don't you see what's on the news? How are you going to let the news tell you what's actually going on your block? So it's all kind of propaganda out there about black men that black people fall victim to, even other black men. Because if a black man is walking down the street at night and see another black man with a hoodie on, he gets cautious. Meanwhile, he got a hoodie on because it's cold. Y'all both walking down the street with hoodies on because it's Philly in the wintertime, so y'all cold, and y'all both looking at each other as threats. Neither one of y'all trying to do anything to either one of y'all. But the propaganda made you think that every black man is a threat. I've never, 40 years old, I've never had a random black man just try to hurt me. Never. I got to the point where I decided I'm not watching my back no more. I'm just walking through the communities. I'm just walking through because nobody's ever tried to hurt me. Where did I get this idea that random black men just going to hurt me if it's never, ever happened to me? So some people are not going to like that. You got to watch out. You got to watch out. For what? They never hurt me. Never did nothing to me. Never stabbed me, shot me. Randomly. Now, I've been shot twice, but they wanted to shoot me specifically when that happened. It ain't had nothing to do with just being a random black man. They was looking for me. So we have these negative narratives that are on us that we don't sit back and think about how much they harm us. Or we don't think about how the narratives put us in such harm's way and for black men, right? Not trying to compare, but you just need to understand the depths of this thing. The angry black woman trope is awful. It's awful to call a black woman an angry black woman. She might lose her job. She might not get hired. She might not have people that want to talk to her. People are going to call her difficult if you label her an angry black woman. If you an angry black man, you get killed. If you an angry black man, you are a threat that needs to be neutralized. Now, everybody talks about this trope of angry black woman and how it's hurtful to black women. And yes, it is hurtful. But have you ever thought about how being an angry black man, being viewed as an angry black man, is how it's so easily justifiable to kill an unarmed black man? And we're tired because nobody wants to talk about it. And anytime we talk about what we go through, it's treated as if, oh, you trying to dismiss what black women go through. No, y'all dismissing us. Because y'all want to have a monopoly on pain. You want to have a monopoly on oppression. You want to have a monopoly on racism. You don't want to hear what your men are going through. And that creates the men that's following Kevin Samuels. Not that Kevin Samuels is the problem, in my opinion, but some of his followers. That creates the men that are following Fresh and Fit and all these negative clips that we see and men commenting on because y'all never let us talk. Y'all don't want to hear us. Don't want to hear our pain. The moment we talk about our pain, we get criticized for it. You have somebody saying black men are the only ones that talk like that. So they asked Mike, change the narrative. You got to change the narrative. This is the question though. How do you change a narrative that people already believe? I asked a question on Twitter and Facebook a while ago. I said, and this was before the whole Russia-Ukraine thing happened. I said, why are Americans supposed to hate Russia? Can anybody tell me this? All my life, we were supposed to hate the Soviet Union. We were supposed to hate Russia. And I never knew what they did to me. I never knew what they did to me. So we got black folk we got folk, period, in America with a total disdain for a country that they don't know nothing about because of the narrative that was planted in their mind. And then if somebody try to say, hey, Putin ain't really as bad as they say he is, or Saddam ain't really as bad, or Bin Laden wasn't, or Idi Amin wasn't, or as soon as we try to say anybody, we get attacked for trying to give a new perspective or a new narrative. How are we supposed to change the narrative about black men if people already believe a certain narrative? And people are, in particular, our own women, are unwilling to sit back and listen to our pain without saying, hold on, your pain's not worse than mine. I'm not saying nobody's pain is worse than anybody. We are, first of all, neither one of our pains can be worse than each other's because we are one. My hurt hurts you and your hurt hurts me, no matter if we want to recognize it or not. If black women are hurt, that hurts black men. If black men are hurt, that hurts black women. But we've allowed America to give us such an individualist mindset that we think we are one by ourselves. I can be pro-man or I can be pro-woman. No, you got to be pro-black. All right. Ooh, so I'm going longer than I was planning on going. Let's talk. Let's talk. So one thing Mike kept saying in the interview was, all I want to do is play basketball. I just wanted to play basketball. All I want to do is play basketball. Went from the past tense to the present tense. All I want to do is play basketball. That's it. That's all I want to do is play basketball. When he had already admitted that other people forced him to play basketball, when he already admitted that he only played basketball because folks was exploiting him, what was Mike really saying? What Mike was really saying is all he wanted to do was escape. See, he gave us the background of his life and how terrible things were and all the stuff that he was dealing with. And the only thing that he found any kind of solace in was being on the basketball court. It's crazy. He said, I never got invited to birthday parties or nothing, but when it was time to play basketball, everybody wanted me on their team. So this is the only place where he gets love. It's the only place where he gets attention. It's the only place where he's good. It's the only place where he's not being dogged, when he gets to just get on the court and play ball. But that's not about basketball at all. That's about escape. And brothers, I said this earlier, we can't escape trauma. We got to process and heal from it. What kind of ways have you been trying to escape? You see what you're dealing with. You know what you're dealing with. You know what the pains are. You know what the outcomes are if you don't do nothing. But you know what? I'm just going to escape. You ever been broke and you got a little money, but you're like, man, I might as well just go ahead and buy this or go spend this money on this or go ahead because this little money ain't doing nothing anyway. It ain't no difference to having $500 or $0. So I might as well go ahead to the club, or I might as well go ahead to I might as well go just escape. Instead of dealing with the problem at hand, we just want to escape. This is one of the reasons why suicide is rampant in our community with Black men. We are the highest rise. We have the highest rising rates of suicide. I will never forget. I did a men's meeting one time with about 50 men. I asked 50 Black men, to be clear. I asked, has anybody here ever contemplated suicide? And every hand went up. Every adult hand. There was one young guy that was like 17, 16. He didn't raise his hand. He ain't lived long enough either. The adult, the grown men, all them 30, 40-year-old men, yeah, man, I thought about that. That's the ultimate escape. So a lot of times people want to call somebody weak because they committed suicide. First of all, you got to have heart to kill yourself. I don't see how we can call that weak. It ain't weak. It ain't weak at all. But it's the highest form of escape. It's the end result of just being tired of everything that we've dealt with. Dealing with this and I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with this person, and it's the end result of just being tired. I don't want to. You get to a place where you just feel like I don't want to fight no more. I just want to throw in the towel. I don't want to have to fight every day. I don't want every thing that I set out to be a rumble. Sometimes I just want to coast through. I want some things to just go smooth one time. But when everywhere you turn, it's a brick wall, and everywhere you turn, there's some kind of fight that you got to go through, you can just end up tired. And then when nobody is there for you, or you think nobody's there for you, or we don't have a lock and step community where we're making sure everybody is okay, you can get so tired that you just want to end it all. Mike then said, talking about trying to get help and all these different things, he said, when you've been turned upside down in your whole life, how do you know which way is up? So when you've been turned up and down your entire life, how do you know which way is up? So a lot of times, man, we judge folks not knowing what they've been through. We judge folks. We don't even give people the empathy that we would want because we know what we've been through. We know our lives experience has caused us to do some negative things, and we don't even give people that same grace. Then he says, how bad do a black man got to be to get help? How damn, he said, do I got to be like Delonte West before I get help? Because the idea, folks called him crazy, but the idea is he didn't want no help. He didn't seek out any help, right? We got a lot of people I see, and this is going to get some people mad, but, I don't care. I see a lot of people saying that they can't be empathetic towards Kanye because he has the means to get help. Let me tell you something. A rich drug addict is bound to die from an overdose. You can't, just because somebody got money, if they sick, they sick. Now, that does not mean I condone everything that Kanye has done. No, I do not condone everything that Kanye has done. But this is what happens with sickness. If we don't treat it in the beginning, it's going to evolve and it's going to grow and it's going to get worse. It's going to evolve and it's going to get worse. So if we don't step in the moment we see something is off with somebody, of course it's going to get to a point where you don't like, because who helped them? Now, until this interview with Michael Beasley, it's probably so many people who said, man, he has the means. He could have got help. First of all, the brother explained how he'd been asking for help ever since he was young. Then those of us who haven't been through as much trauma think it's so simple for somebody in a traumatic mind, so somebody who is psychologically frozen because of their trauma, somebody who is like in a constant state of psychosis, who they're not just having an episode. This has become who they are, that they just supposed to know what therapist to go to get help. They trying to survive. They trying to survive the thoughts in their mind. They're trying not to pick up the gun because the thought in their mind said it's too much to kill themselves. They're trying to quiet the thoughts of everybody saying that they're crazy. They're trying to quiet the thoughts of everybody saying this about them and that about them and telling them what they should or what they shouldn't do. Mike said, everybody was telling me what not to do, but nobody told me what to do. And then when I did something wrong, they judged me by it. How you going to judge me by it? You ain't never told me what to do. How many times do we have to ask for help? So why don't you ask for help? No species on Earth keeps doing the same thing if it doesn't work. If you can look it up in psychology, I talk about it a lot. It's called learned helplessness. You put a grasshopper in the jar, put a lid on it, grasshopper jump, hit his head a couple times, take the lid off, the grasshopper don't jump no higher. Even though it can jump out, it's afraid of hitting his head again. You can tie a horse or an elephant up to something. They'll create a circle as far as it can go. Then you remove the thing that was holding them there, and they're going to walk in that same circle. Learn helplessness. Every species deals with it. So in Michael's case and a lot of other men's case, we try to get help, and maybe we try to get help from the wrong places. But we try to get help from this person, this person. Mike said, people turn my secrets into information. They turned my secrets into information. So the people I went to go get help with, I told them about the things that hurt me, and they just used that as information to talk about me. So now I'm supposed to continue to go and try to get help and continue to get hurt? But this is the real question. Why aren't we offering help? You see somebody struggling and you just watch them struggle day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Then they do something crazy and you like, why they ain't ask for help? You seen them struggling. I'll never forget one day, me and my brother was walking. We get to like Broad and Ellsworth in South Philly. And it's this guy, and I didn't even notice him. My brother noticed him. Like, yo, he look a little like disheveled. So we're like, yo, bro, man, what's up with you, man? You all right? He's like, man, I just got out of jail. I've been in jail. I think it's like 22 or 23 years. And he like, I'm like turned around because everything looks different. So my brother saw, he looked a little disheveled. He looked a little bit off. So we approached him to see what the issue was and how we can help. Brother, where are you trying to go? I'm trying to get to X, Y, and Z. All right, man, this is how you get to X, Y, and Z. Bro, you need anything else? Have some flyers because my elder T. McQuasey was doing stuff for men who had just come out of jail. Listen, bro, I got something, man, can help you get a job, help you get on your feet, boom, boom, boom. Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you guys, man, for helping me out. Went on his way. Couldn't tell you who the man is if I seen him right now. I only seen him that one time. We saw the man look the show, asked him what his issue was, and then gave him some direction. And then gave him some resources. Or we could have just crossed the street to look at him, man. He looked crazy. How many times have you called somebody crazy? Think about that. And I'm guilty of it. I'm not even going to sit here and act like I'm not guilty of calling somebody crazy. That question just came to my mind and it's convicting me first before it's convicting y'all. How many times have you just called somebody crazy? Just sat back, saw what they was doing, ain't offered no help, called them crazy. And then asked, well, why they ain't ask for help? Why they ain't ask for help? Why didn't you offer some help? Last thing I'm going to deal with. Mike starts talking about, he said, I had to choose. Now, folks, you know, we talk about choosing the lesser of two evils when it comes to politics. And everybody understands this concept. But what happens when you are stuck in between bad choices? And this is going to really surprise some folks. It's a song with Polo G and Lil TJ. And it's called Pop Out, I think. And Lil TJ says, I made some choices in my life I really wish I didn't have to make. And I don't think he even understands how profound that is. I made some choices in my life I really wish I didn't have to make. Now, we can be upset at somebody and judge them by the choice that they made without even understanding what the other option was. So you might see somebody sell drugs, you judge them. Yeah, well, the other option was to go upside your head and take your money so I could eat. Which one you want? You want me to sell drugs to people who are already getting high, or you want me to take your money? Because I got to eat. I got to survive. Now you're stuck between bad choices. And a lot of times when you are in a society that is hell bent on destroying you, no, understand this. White supremacy ain't afraid, white inferiority ain't afraid of women. They are not afraid of women. Global domination of white folks, they are not afraid of women. They are not afraid of black women being the most educated. They are not afraid of black women starting businesses. They are not afraid to let women move up in companies. They are not afraid. So they're not going to attack you with the same vitriol. It's the men who are the primary threat. It's the men that are the primary threat. This does not mean that they don't do things specifically against black women. By no means am I saying that. But men are the threat. We are the primary threat. And if we are the primary threat, then we are going to receive all of their vitriol. We're going to receive everything that they got to try to prevent us from rising up, because men rising up means overthrowing. Women rising up creates discord within a race. It's not that I want women below us or anything like that, just understanding human nature. So we get put in some bad places and we got to make some bad choices sometimes out of the options that we have. But has anybody thought, what other option did so-and-so have? What other option did he have? What other option was he aware of? How about that? What other option was he aware of? Because sometimes just because you know that there's an option for this person does not mean that they know. Does not mean that they know. It's been things that I can't see. It's called blind spots in psychology. It's been things that I can't see about my life that somebody else has been able to see. And then there's things that I can see about other people's lives that they can't see. So this is why I have been very intentional about making sure I have elders. Even at 40 years old, I still have elders. Dr. Douglas Carpenter, Dr. Damon B. Jones, Shamari Kazi, Atiba Kwesi, Achille Nkrumah. I am intentional about having these older men in my life because I know at their age and their experience, they can see things that I can't see. But then again, if you're talking about somebody who was sitting on the curb on the couch because they got evicted and had to do homework in front of everybody, what damn options you think that little kid is growing up thinking they got? Now, I'm not saying that we gotta condone bad behaviors. I'm saying we have to sit back, we have to talk, and we have to understand each other. In particular, our black men, because we're tired. We are tired of being the punching bag. We are tired of being a punching bag. We're the boogeyman against other black men. We're the boogeyman against white people. We're the boogeyman against black women. We're the boogeyman against the LGBT. Right now with Jussie Smollett, straight black men didn't support him. What? First of all, what did y'all want us to do? What you wanted all 20 million black men to go to his court hearing? What did you want us to do? Straight black men, the white men of black people. Come on, be real. We're always the boogeyman, and nobody cares about how we actually feel. Nobody sits down. It's like, let me. Can I do this? Are we going to cut off if I do that? Right. So let me show y'all something. Let's see. I can show y'all on the YouTube, but y'all won't be able to see this on I can just share my screen. Ah. No. Share. This is Frankenstein. This is Frankenstein. This is not Frankenstein. This is who Frankenstein created. This is who Frankenstein created. But we call the quote unquote monster Frankenstein when he is a creation who didn't even want to harm nobody. But the way people perceived him as a threat because of the way he looked, the longer people perceived him from the way he looked, he decided, you know what? Shit, y'all want to treat me like I'm going to hurt y'all, I might as well. But nobody's looking at Dr. Frankenstein. Nobody's looking at the orchestrator. You just look at the product. And then you judge the product, even though the product didn't create itself. And even though the product was not trying to harm anybody, but the people's perception of him. So no, I ain't trying to snatch no white lady's purse. But it's only so many times before you keep pulling your purse where I'm going to act like I'm going to do something just to mess with you. now I'm gonna jump at you just because, like, I probably got more money. 9 times out of 10, I got more money than you. I don't need to steal your bag. I don't need to steal your Macy's bag, baby. I don't need anything that's in your bag. I got it. I'm good. But you see the dark-skinned black man with a beard, I'm just a threat. I gotta be a thug. Nah, man, I'm an 8-time author with 2 books that are taught in colleges. No, baby, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm good. But the perception, you keep treating black men like villains, and there's gonna be some villainous stuff that happens. Listen and understand black men, then we're gonna have some understanding. We're going to have some healing. But if black men can never open up their mouths and express how they feel without being ridiculed or shamed, black men can't even talk about their standards when it comes to women without being attacked. If this is women can talk about every single thing that they want. The moment a man talks about what he wants, it's a problem. Black men are tired. I'm so glad this Michael Beasley interview came out and people get to actually look at him and see his humanity, not the narrative about him. Get to see his humanity, and we can begin to start discussions like these where we are trying to understand black men and not just treating them according to the perception that we have. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. We're going to make sure that the Crewman Perspective is definitely coming weekly. I know I've been slacking a little bit, but I'm getting it together. Had a whole lot going on. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at BF and Kruma. Make sure you subscribe and like. I was supposed to say that at the beginning of the YouTube video, wasn't I? Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share this video with some folks. Share this video with some folks, or share the podcast that's on Apple Music or everywhere podcasts are. What else I got going on? Make sure you stop by bfandkruma.com. Check out one of the 8 books, or buy all 8 of the books to get all the knowledge. And one of them right here, one of my newest books, The Power of Choice, and also my newest book, Nothing Can Stop Us, Black Men's Guide to Controlling Our Destiny. I also do one-on-one and group coaching specifically for black men to help us move from victims of fate to controlling our own destiny. Again, I am BF and Kruma, and this is the Nkrumah Perspective.